Today's special guest needs very little introduction. Jack Welch is a legend, not just in his own country, but around the world, as one of the great business managers ever. One of the things that struck me in this book was there's a part on organization structure where Jack mentions that you just need to get rid of as much layering and bureaucracy as you possibly can. And the thing I was stunned about was that you said at a minimum, people could have 8 to 10 people reporting to them, and a really good manager could have double that, which is contrary to what almost everybody says about spans of control.
Layers are the bane of an organization. We just had, as you all have lived through, this terrible hurricane. I'm convinced this hurricane was made much worse by the FEMA organization being stuck under Homeland Security. Once again, another layer. No layer. I mean, the best person in a layer is a bad layer. It goes back to your childhood. If you ever played the game telephone, where one person tells something to somebody else, and by the time it gets to the 5th person, it's a whole different story. That's what layers do. They're like sweaters. If you have 5 layers and you go out in the cold, you don't feel cold. You don't know what the temperature is. Layers are just all bad. So you fight the organization's constant desire to give people titles and promote them, pay them, reward them, but keep it flat.
You mentioned the disaster, and I think any of us who saw the FEMA director on television the first night would not have doubted that the result would have been what it was, because he was definitely not a leader or a manager, and it was obvious in that first interview. Have you ever been asked or had any occasion to try and provide the perspective that's reflected here and that is gleaned through all of your years to government?
No, because I'd be quite ineffective. I do talk about crisis management in the chapter in this book, and Katrina is the classic case of the 5 steps in crisis management. First one, denial. It's not going to be as bad as it is. They had warnings about this stuff forever. It's not going to happen here. Then it happens. It's not going to be too bad. That's number 1. Number 2, in a crisis in the company, it's usually, shh, don't tell anybody. Don't let anybody know about this. Now, in government, it's finger pointing. It's the governor, it's the mayor, it's the police chief, and they were pointing in every 5 seconds. The third thing is, if you as a leader don't get out and define yourself, guess what? Your opponents define you. George Bush got whacked and defined by the Democrats and the media as an ineffective leader, whereas at 9/11, he was cheered as a leader. Because Rudy Giuliani, you didn't see Rudy Giuliani in New Orleans. You saw a bunch of cowering people blaming each other. You didn't see a leader. You didn't see Winston Churchill in a crisis rallying people. You saw him complaining. We desperately need a leader. And if you don't have it there, the vacuum is taken up by your enemies, whether they be the media or whether they be the opposing party. 4th, in every crisis, blood is spilled. And Michael Brown was the first blood spilled, but you can bet your life there'll be more blood. There'll be more blood. There's always a scapegoat. They got to pile him up. Michael Brown had no credentials to back up the first shot at him. He was wiped out. And the 5th thing that always happens in a crisis is you fix it, and things are better for it. We have a chance in New Orleans now to break a cycle of poverty that people have been ignoring for years. Each politician is going to throw money at it. I'll bid 10, I'll bid 20. It'll be up to $200 million by the time these guys are through pouring money at it. And with that, entrepreneurs will go down there, take advantage of it in the best sense of the word, create new jobs, create opportunity, and maybe some of these kids can get out of poverty. Maybe we can break a cycle. Maybe we can fix some of the things that have been ignored. It happens in every crisis. And we'll build an immunity to that particular crisis in New Orleans. We'll have the best levee system ever. Within 5 years, we will have an evacuation plan that'll work. We'll have a dome that will house X number of people and feed them for a month. I'll guarantee you,
it'll be fixed.
We had 5 or 6 crises in my time in GE. We were always great in building immunity, the one we didn't see, you know, and it's what happens. And most of us don't have the imagination to see what can be, how bad it can be. It takes a lot of imagination. 9/11, Katrina, to see really how things can see around corners.
Worst case.